This is the Global Broadcasting Service, serving remote outposts since 1928.
Hi, everyone. Welcome aboard the Walt Disney World Express monorail.
Caramba, we have something really big for you today.
Welcome, foolish mortals.
Now then, hang on to them hats and glasses, because this here's the wildest ride in the wilderness.
This is the DBC Pod with Phil Schoen and Jason Dodge. Hi, friends. Welcome to this week's pod. This is a show for the week of August 11th, 2025. And one of us went to Disney World again. This time it was Phil. So I did the intro differently because as I edit the intro every single week, Phil, the microphone gets really, really loud. If you haven't noticed, it like gets staticky because I get really excited and yell, and I shouldn't do that. So I kept it down this time. So everybody should be happy. All right, Phil, you went to Disney World this week. We're gonna have a trip report later on. You're going again, and like, what's the countdown now? 2 weeks?
Yeah, just over 2 weeks. 2 weeks from Tuesday.
It's crazy. It's just like when I took my daughter down.
I know.
And then 3 weeks later, I went with my family. You took your daughter down, and you're going back with your wife in 2 weeks. That's just awesome. So we'll have plenty of Destination D23 predictions and all the other fun stuff coming up in the following weeks, even though everybody's kind of doing their like expectation show, that sort of thing. We'll do it next week. But on this week's show, we're going to talk about the Beacon Barrel opening. We're going to talk about the Walt Disney World Company having their was it Q3?
Their Q3, yeah.
Their Q3 financial reveal report, whatever you want to call it, your trip report. But first, before we get into that, make sure you like and subscribe if you're watching this video. And if you want to join the community, please join us on Discord. If you're on YouTube, the link is going to be below. Phil sometimes tweets it out, but you can find it almost anywhere that you search for DBC Pod. We're here. Come join us. We'd love to have you. All right, so the Beacon Barrel, Phil, it had an opening date later this month. Tell us about it.
Yep, so we knew this was coming, but Disney officially announced that the Beacon Barrel, which is the new pirate-themed lounge that's going to be over by Pirates of the Caribbean and the Magic Kingdom, it will officially open on August 29th, which is the day before Destination D23 begins, the day after Food and Wine starts. So it's going to be a lot of very busy weekend for the vloggers, I think. Reservations are open to be booking starting on August 14th. And then obviously, like, it's going to be like all other ADRs. You can book 60 days out. I did ask Judy, because we will be down there on the 29th. That's the day we have our shopping spree and stuff like that for D23. It's like, do we want to try to add a Magic Kingdom day and try to get in here? And we decided it's just going to be way too crazy.
No,
and we were not going to bother. All the vloggers will be there and stuff like that. But it is something that's on our kind of like to-do list at some point. We do have the family trip coming up later in November. We'll probably try to go then. They also announced new cast member costumes for not just the bar lounge, but also for the ride and that whole area. They kind of look a little bit more pirate costumey, and they kind of have like mix and match pieces, so they can be a little bit kind of make it their own, which I think is kind of nice. But the other big topic that came up with that is they revealed the menu for this location for they have about 4 different bites and a number of cocktails with alcohol. Obviously, this is a full lounge, so even though it's in the Magic Kingdom, it will serve alcohol. You will be limited to 2 drinks in 45 minutes, so I don't think many people will be able to get plastered here, but there will be alcohol there. But there will be a couple non-alcoholic drinks and like I mentioned, bites and stuff like that. There was some discussion going like, is it kid-friendly enough? Because it's a lounge, but it's in the Magic Kingdom, and the promotion very much talks about, the menu features tasty options for pirates of all ages, but they only have 2 non-alcoholic drinks, and they like one has ube and one's coconut milk and stuff like that. Like it's going to be interesting to see the reaction, I think, when it comes up and families go like, "Oh, it's in the Magic Kingdom, let's go," and then your kids are like, "I want apple juice" or something, and they don't.
I mean, there's a lot of points here I want to talk about, right? So let's get to. So on the menu, they've got. Granted, if in case anybody doesn't know, and I think everybody should know, this is basically Oga's in the Magic Kingdom, right? It's a lounge, it's a bar. Disney has had a lot of practice building these on all their cruise ships, and I'm very, very jealous of all these like themed lounges because my wife doesn't like being on boats, so cruises and the price tag is probably out of our reach for a family vacation. So I was hoping that we'd bring that those tight style lounges to the parks. Oga's, you and I and Matt had a great time in here. Yep. I would have a great time doing this. I don't want to bring my kids into a lounge or a bar anyway, so having it being kid friendly, to me, it's like you could drag your kids in for like, well, mom and dad have a quick drink and the kids can see everything, and then you can leave. Like it's getting in for air conditioning, relaxing for a minute, but like these style places are not meant for people to sit down and like enjoy like an hour's plus worth of meal type of thing. It's like an in and out type of thing. So to me, when it says for all kids to enjoy, it means that while mom and dad have a cocktail, the kids could be in there and probably be entertained for like 20, 30 minutes just looking at everything. And they can get a snack or something else like that. Two, you mentioned like, oh, you just want an apple juice. They're going to have sodas, everything. So all the stuff that you would normally make cocktails with, they're going to have those.
Well, we'll see, because I asked that question, and the response I got was like, no, these are set things. Like Oga's, you can't just get a soda and stuff like that. Like this is all they're going to have. So
I don't know. You can't just get like a water or a soda at Oga's.
Maybe
I've never
water.
asked. I'm assuming
No.
that you could.
No.
That's interesting. Okay.
And the one difference I did want to point out is Oga's has 7 non-alcoholic beverages. This only has 2. So I think that's the one thing that jumped out at me. Like I thought maybe having just some more non-alcoholic beverages would be nicer, but I get your point. Like you're limited to 45 minutes. This isn't for people to hang out and the kids to have a full experience. This isn't like a dinner and a show on a cruise ship or something like that. It's like get in for your half hour, check it out, have your drink, get some AC in, and head out. I just thought maybe just a couple more non-alcoholic drinks that maybe are a little more kid appropriate or kid. I don't know, that they'd be more drawn to or easier to have would go over. But maybe you're right. Maybe in the end they will have sodas, they will have apple juice and stuff like that, and then it'll be fine.
Well, I mean, anecdotal evidence, because this was our last trip a couple weeks ago. We had access to all the non-alcoholic drinks because of the dining plan, right? So we made sure, like, hey kids, you can try any one of these. None of my kids, including my wife, did not like half the things they had on these menus anyway. So like, do we really need more versions of things that are kind of weird tasting? Because kids are pretty simple. They want like simple like juices, sodas.
And that's what I was saying, like, because like even at Oga's, I was looking at some of their it's a lot of them are like Powerades with like other flavors added and stuff like that. So I think you just add 1 or 2 of those here, I think you'd be fine. I was just interested because I know like your kids, if you say, hey, this has a blend of cookies and coconut milk, or this one has ube and lemon, like I just don't like. I could see a lot of families getting in there and not realizing that, like, and being like, my kids, they're like, I don't want that. I don't want that. You know, so I don't know. It's going to be interesting how it goes.
Well,
over.
I mean,
or does it turn into just a bunch of adults hanging out and having their drinks and families not really going?
I think so, because look, like Disney makes all their profit off of cocktails and beverages, right? Profit margins are stupid high, right? They don't want people coming in with like 2 parents and like 6 kids or like whatever, and the kids are taking up all the space and they're not ordering alcoholic beverages, right? So they don't want kids in here spending a lot of time and all. And so I mean that kind of makes sense, right? That's why there's a time. That's why it's alcohol based. If you want like a kid friendly kind of pirate thing, to go reopen Tortuga Tavern and redo that type of thing. But that's not what they want. They're not making. Whatchamacallit, the barbecue joint in Toy Story Land, they're making a lounge and bar.
Right.
And I think what threw people off, and you had a point on the message board saying, like, look at this art. It has like these families with their kids and they're all hanging out, having a good time. And I'm like, I don't think it was ever supposed to be that way. I think somebody's just kind of
maybe it's my fault that, you know, when you see this concept art and how it's depicted, and part of it was I feel like this was announced similar time as Geo 82, and it kind of felt like that was like, this is the adults thing, this is for everybody. So I was like, maybe I played that up in my mind too much, that it was going to be more family friendly than it really is meant to be. But I think you make a good point. They want to. They're making this space to make money, right? Because even if you look at the kids' drinks, one of them $7.75, and the other one comes with like popcorn and stuff, and it's $13.75. Like if you have 3 kids and each one's getting a $14 drink or whatever, like it's gonna exactly. So
it's a bit much. I'm just looking at the menu here. It's like from the galley. There's like a plantain chip tortilla. It's like a kind of like a dip type of thing. You've got corn cakes, some peppers. You've got basically a chicken, chipotle braised chicken with melted cheese, like another kind of dip type of thing. It's all appetizer based. And then octopus tentacles marinated in lemon and lime juice. I mean, that's awesome.
Yeah, and that photo, it looked really cool. Hopefully they keep up the presentation of that, where it really looks like a octopus tentacle coming out of the the breach and stuff. My kids are pretty excited for that one, actually.
My kids are terrified because in our local supermarket, there's like, you walk by from the deli to the rest of the supermarket, there's like a frozen section for seafood where you can get like, you know, crappy like shrimp and whatever, but there's sealed packages of like octopus tentacles or squid tentacles that you can buy. I always take them out and put them in our shopping bag and they start freaking out. I don't know why they don't want them. They eat a lot of other stuff, but calamari is good. I don't get it. But anyway, that's the Beak and Barrel. Opens up later this month. I love Pirates. It's one of my favorite attractions, so I'm really psyched for this. My wife would, tolerate me being in here because she's not a drinker. But like, I'm really curious what it looks like in there. If it's like the art that they have on the actual page for this, I'm staring at the official website for this restaurant. And it's the same one you have. You have a family, they're all sitting around a table, which I doubt it's going to look like that because that's a lot of space for like a table type of thing.
Yeah.
So I'm really curious to how it's kind of worked around, how intimate it is, how it's lit, something like that. Is it going to be like really cramped and crowded like Oga's where you have to like push past everybody? It's going to be a little bit of extra space. I know it's going to look great inside. I just can't wait to see some of the videos. That's all. It's going to be good.
Agreed.
So the next topic we're going to talk about is the quarterly financials report that came out. Phil, I was like terrified to talk about this because there's like really not much to talk about, I don't think, other than like some highlights and what that means for us. You wanted to talk about that. So why don't you lead off that discussion?
Yeah, there's a lot of big news. Like obviously, overall, the earnings were very strong. There's also a lot of news going on. And if you're into this, I'm sure you've already seen about, ESPN acquiring NFL Network and Red Zone, and they're also going to be the home for all of WWE's premium live events and stuff like that. So I thought it's interesting that they're kind of doubling down on ESPN when it felt like a year or two ago they were talking about spinning it off and stuff. But what I really wanted to get into was they talked about Disney experiences, which includes the parks and the cruise ships. They said overall operating income grew by 8% in the quarter. And overall, their CFO, Hugh Johnston, said Walt Disney World just had a record Q3 revenue number. Now, we know revenue. They've obviously increased costs and have individual lightning lanes and all that sort of stuff. But this was supposed to be like a slow time of year and slow summer and not much going on. And they just had a record revenue for the quarter. So I didn't know what that...
Let me jump in. Did they say, now I'm getting mixed up in my brain, did they say record revenue for the Parks and Experiences segment or the company overall?
No, it said specifically Walt Disney World had record revenue.
Oh, Walt Disney World. Okay. Yep. Okay. I mean, that makes,
which got me a little surprised, right?
Yeah. I mean, here you have all the doomers out there, as I guess we're wont to call them. That the park, like I read somebody today on the message boards, I don't believe these numbers. It's like the parks are half empty. I don't believe it. I see pictures. It's half empty. It's a ghost town. Blah blah blah. I'm like, look, with Epic Universe opening up in May, driving people to that park, right? And that park is, I don't really pay attention to Universal news, but it's not like it's going gangbusters. Like you're hearing like these amazing buzz. It's like everybody loves it. It's great food. It's great fun, great rides. And your people want more, right?
Right.
So leading up to it, people thought, oh, Disney World's going to die. Disney World has nothing new to offer for returning guests, right? They have like Test Track reopening up. I don't think that's getting anybody going down there. No new hotels. I don't really think you can call the Poly Tower something that's going to get so many people going down there at $800 a night. They're heavily discounting hotels, right? They're offering free dining for an extended period of time for a higher level of inventory. They've got the ticket deal at $89 per ticket for every park but Magic Kingdom.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Free water parks, all this other stuff, and they're driving people there. Like occupancy wasn't as high this quarter as it was last quarter, because I think it dropped from like 90%, 90% to like 87%. I think it's like a couple ticks down.
Yep.
But this was supposed to be the year that Disney was in super trouble because they don't have anything built. There's nothing in the pipeline. There's nothing in the pipeline next year either until Tropical Americas opens. So to me, that just shows that Disney's brand is still very strong. People still want to go to Disney World. The economy, while things are getting more expensive, is not doom and gloom, like I guess yet, right? I'm not
it kind of fluctuates or whatever, but it doesn't feel quite as doom and gloom, right?
Yeah, like
earlier.
I'm not going to say what's happening now. I'm not an economist, right? I just pay attention to what I have to do for a living and keep my head down. But again, people are going. So there's a couple of trends that I found out, Phil, and you can share some of the trends you found or comment on mine. Disney seems to it's happened once or twice already, but now it's becoming a pattern where I believe locals and offsite guests are being I don't know, attracted to the hotels because the hotels are going up or occupancy is going up, where the cost of everything is, or the money that they're making is the attendance is kind of flat, but more people are staying in their hotels. So that's telling me is that instead of staying offsite, people are rather they're finding a better value at a Disney resort, or locals are coming, but they're having like staycations or something else like that. So there's more people going to the Disney hotels because the park attendance is not increasing significantly. It's probably at like 2016, 2017 levels, right? Nowhere near 2019 levels. So that's all great. You see a lot of different Disney perks from a cost perspective, like the tickets, the water parks, everything else. And that's really driving people to the hotels and spending more money. And to me, the main takeaway is I hope Disney's paying attention to what fills their parks and fills their hotels, because I love all the perks that they're showcasing right now.
Yep.
Do you have what is your main takeaway then?
So
that was my main takeaway.
Yeah, my main takeaway is that it feels like things have sort of leveled out, despite pricing going up, and like there's so many stories about the cost of the trip because you don't have Magical Express, you have to pay for lightning lanes and stuff like that. Like to do a trip like you used to do in the past costs more, but it seems like things have kind of at least leveled out. That it's not going down any further. It might not be spiking up anymore, but at the same time, in 2018, 2019, the biggest complaint was that the parks were too crowded.
Way too crowded.
So we're maybe kind of at that nice equilibrium point. So I'm interested to see where this goes going forward. Does Disney kind of continue with these promotions to kind of draw some more people in, knowing each person's going to be paying a little bit more? Kind of you have these incentives to get them here. And once they're here, they're going to spend the money. Does this keep them bullish to keep building, right? Like, I think people are excited about the things they're building. Does this kind of further embolden them for the second half of those 10 years and stuff like that? So I'm kind of interested to see where it seems like, are they going to just be like, okay, well, we're good, so we don't need to push things as much, or do they keep going?
Well, I mean, they already extended the perk for the water parks until next year, but instead of being all year round, it's just it's during the summer, but I don't know if it's like May, like Memorial Day, Labor Day.
They didn't say that the date's just summertime.
But it's like a season, right?
Yeah.
So I really like that. That really entices us to go back, or because we love that day going to the water parks. I thought that was really good. I hope that my only hope is they're never going to lower the price of the tickets, but if they make it easy to get to Disney World, and now Magical Express, to me, I think most people would love to have that back, but that's not going to make somebody choose to go to Disney or not go to Disney, right? That doesn't push somebody over the edge. But I think I mentioned, I don't know if I mentioned this last week or in another show or it was online somewhere, but I knew two families just in my immediate, kids sports family circle that went to Disney World for like 4 or 5 days, did not go to the Magic Kingdom, but one family bought a pack of 3 tickets and they just went to one of those 3 parks and that was it. Another family bought 2 packs of those 3 tickets and still didn't go to the Magic Kingdom. And because it was so inexpensive. And these were all families of 5, right? 3 kids. And I'm thinking to myself, if Disney sees that more people are buying these perks, then they know where the value of those parks are. And they can say like, well, this family spent less on these tickets. Does their cost, did they go to more restaurants because they weren't spending as much money? Did they buy more souvenir? Like the Disney surveys that are going out to those families must be like heavily laden with like, what was your like spend like type of thing. So again, everybody likes to say that Disney is super expensive and it's just going up, 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 and up. Again, like my manifesto that I did earlier in the summer, the hotels are relatively flat, or if not less expensive than they were a year ago with this discounts that are ongoing. The tickets have doubled in price over the last 20 years. But if you look at a $90 or $100 ticket, they're in line with like a decade ago with inflation and everything else. The cost of all the lightning lanes, people spending money on that's purely discretionary spending. You're already in the park having a good time. And in last week or 2 weeks ago, I was in the park without lightning lane and still was able to get a significant amount done and didn't feel like, I needed it. And when I did have it, I don't feel like I got the value that I really wanted out of it that I remember having with either Genie Plus or something else, because it was like $30 a head at Magic Kingdom or whatever, because there wasn't enough volume. That being said, I I'm really curious to see what the future of Disney is like with how are they enticing people and spreading crowds out throughout the year. Less people are traveling during the summer because of the heat. Does that impact next summer and the summer after that? I don't know. Other than that, it was a normal, Wall Street-ish type report that, goes over my head, or I just don't really care about that sort of thing. But I always love these because we find out what the occupancy levels are, what the spend is, and kind of seeing consumer, trends.
Yeah.
At the parks.
Yep.
So that was really cool. And then another thing that you pointed out today, speaking of money, was the minivan to and from the MCO service is extended to all deluxe guests, and not just was a club level.
It was just club level before, yeah. So starting now, I saw some people have been booking it. I believe it goes into effect either the 13th or the 14th of August. But yeah, anybody staying at a deluxe resort on property at Disney World can now secure a minivan to pick them up at MCO at Orlando Airport or bring them back to after the end of the trip. And it is $199 each way plus tax and tip, which obviously sounds pricey and got into big debates of like who's going to pay that much, blah, blah, blah. But it's the same people that if you're already paying for a deluxe resort, you're already kind of like willing to spend money to upgrade your experience. And, if you have multiple kids, smaller kids, these come with 2 car seats. The way I kind of put it is like you're paying it to extend the bubble to like when you arrive at the airport, sort of, because it's cast members picking you up. It's kind of they have cartoons playing and stuff like that. Like it's obviously a premier experience. It's something that you're paying for. But I did like look into some other options, and obviously, if you go down, it's just a couple, and you can get into a regular Uber or whatever like that. That's going to be a lot cheaper, right? Mm-hmm. But I did price out like, okay, when my family goes, we would need at least an Uber XL, if not an Uber XL, to book something ahead of time. They had Uber Black. It was about, if it was a 10:30 pickup, it was like $99.
10:30 p.m.
10:30 p.m. Yeah. So that was booking it in advance. I did say, what if I was there right now? What would it cost? An Uber XL was about $56. So you're obviously that's 2 to 3 times or 3 to 4 times more if you want to do this. But if you want to have a car service that's there to greet you and pick you up and stuff like that, I looked up Gear Fusion, who we used in the past again when we wanted car seats. That was quoting me $143 each way. So $199, it's more. It's obviously like if you're watching your budget, that's an extra $60 or whatever. But if you're already on a deluxe budget or whatever, it might not be that big a deal for you, and it's worth it to you to sort of extend the bubble. So I don't know. The more like if you kind of look at it as an Uber with polka dots, it seems very expensive. But if it's kind of like just a Disney-fied car service, like kind of that next level black tie type thing, it maybe isn't quite as outrageous at first glance. So,
I mean, like this conversation definitely changed my outlook on it. Because I'm comparing it to like an Uber, right? Yeah. Like normally with family, I'm driving down there anyway, so this is not even a consideration. And then when I've gone down with my wife or my daughter, we've taken an Uber because just the 2 of us, I'm not spending money on a town car. But if it was like all 5 of us, and I don't know if we're going to fit in an Uber XL or if I want to like rely on that type of thing, I would consider doing this. Granted, that's a lot. It's a lot of money because I'm already now having a family of 5 or 6 in a deluxe resort.
Exactly.
I'm already spending way too much money as it is. So what's just a little bit more? So and the town car is going to cost like I used to take town cars, private car service to the airport all the time for a job that I had 10 years ago, and the costs were like $150 to $200 to come pick you up. So when you look at it as not an Uber, I think a lot of people think like it's by Lyft and it's just like, oh, it's just one of those services. No, it's a private service, and you get concierge level attendance, and you're not just some random dude in a car that's gonna like. Remember when we got an Uber when we went down there? The guy didn't even know what Hollywood Studios was. That type of thing. Like that's not a great way to start off your family Disney vacation. But
that's what I'm saying. These are cast members that are excited about Disney, excited to pick you up, and like I said, it kind of extends that bubble to when you arrive, similar to what Magical Express did when it was available. Obviously, this is more expensive, but it's nice to see there's going to be more options that Disney's having for this transport. Where in the past there was that testing going on about checking in your bags at the value resorts and stuff. So they're definitely looking into different ways of like kind of adding in these services, even if they're not necessarily going to be free.
Yep. No, for sure. All right. So now we've talked too much, or I've talked too much. And the real story today is your trip report, Phil. One of the things, I don't know if you're going to start with this or finish with this, But once it was all done, in one of our private Discord chats, you're like, I think people underrate just bringing one child to Disney World for a quick trip. I totally agree with this. Is your second one that you've done? I've done it once, and we're really trying to get Matt to kind of experience that as a father, bringing one of his daughters down. Like, it's truly amazing experience. I can't wait. And I was kind of following around with you a little bit on Discord, trying to not follow too much so I can get into the conversation a bit more here. So why don't you start us off with your down and back trip report?
Yeah. So it was a down and back that turned out to be a little bit more of an extended down and back, but this was with my youngest daughter, Emma. This was sort of her Christmas present. We got her like an experience instead of a thing. There wasn't like any one big toy or something that she wanted.
And remind her of her age, just so we know.
She's 11. She just turned 11, actually. So she'll be going into middle school in about a month. So this was, and she hadn't had a one-on-one yet. I had with my son last year, and my wife had it with our oldest daughter last year. So it's kind of like good timing to kind of maybe upgrade her Christmas present a little bit. Let's do the one-on-one going down. So we initially were going to do more of like a real down and back, but just looking at the flights and when there were flight times, we actually had one flight booked, and then they changed it from like 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. I'm like, well, that's not going to work.
No.
So what we wound up doing actually is taking that 8 p.m., but the day before, staying off property we just used like a hotel benefit we had to stay off property for free. And then we had a full day kind of for our check-in day, because we knew we wanted to take advantage of the water park perk. We were looking into different options to where to stay. I actually wound up booking DVC points to stay at a new resort for us. Old Key West was one of the cheaper options I could find, thinking that we were going to have our Magic Kingdom day on a Wednesday, and Wednesday is always the day that they have deluxe after hours at Magic Kingdom. Unfortunately, they did not have that this Wednesday. For some reason, they switched it to Animal Kingdom. So that didn't work out. But anyway, it was still nice to visit a new resort that we hadn't stayed at before. We were there for 2 nights. So we had the check-in day, then our full day, which was at Magic Kingdom, and then we had our second day or our leaving day. And that flight wasn't until the evening either. So we had most of that day, but we didn't have a park day.
So you had a night at a random hotel just to like crash.
Yep.
2 nights at Old Key West.
Yes.
With 1 park day, 1 water park day, and 1, getting ready to go out type of day.
Exactly.
In the morning type of thing. Okay.
Yep. So, so flight was delayed about a half hour leaving. And then once we landed, because of weather, our gate wasn't ready. So overall, we got to the hotel at about 2 a.m.
I remember seeing that.
Yeah.
I was like, oh boy.
Which was about 2 hours later than we were projecting. But again, we were just crashing there. And, the only thing we had was to check out and then go to the water park. So
what was your luggage situation where you each had like a backpack? Did you have actual luggage?
We did ultimately decide to bring 1 backpack that I checked, because checking was about the same price as a carry-on because the airlines were, these are kind of cheapo airlines that we used. Mm-hmm. We flew down on Breeze, back up on a Velo into a smaller airport near us. So we paid for 1 because we just figured with wanting bathing suits and all this sort of stuff, like just cramming everything into backpacks, it would have been pushing it. I also knew I was meeting Julie down there, who had picked up the Epcot popcorn bucket for me. So I knew I was bringing that back. So I needed something to fit that in and stuff like that. So we're like, let's just bring 1 suitcase. We'll check it. And then it's not so bad. So it worked out. Obviously it added to the cost a little bit versus a true down and back. But we did have the one luggage that we brought with us. So.
Okay.
One fun, we stayed at a hotel called the Spark. It was just something we found that had cheap. But interesting, it was really close to Epic. It was really close to Icon Park, but to get there, we drove right past Epic Universe, like right under that elevated circle and stuff like that. We could see like the back of the Donkey Kong ride and stuff like that. I was like, which I didn't know that's the way it was going to take us. So I was like,
cool.
that's kind of neat. That's like interesting. So we stayed at the hotel. It was fine for 1 night for sure. Had a free breakfast that we had in the morning. We had that and we checked out and we changed into our bathing suits and went right over to Blizzard Beach. So this was.
So did you directly? Did you take like an Uber from your hotel directly?
Oh, I should have mentioned that. So we looked through the different options, and because we knew we were going to do the water park thing, and we knew we had this like extra hotel night and stuff like that, we actually had a rental car.
Oh, okay, that makes sense.
So we picked it up, and we had like a discount code, and it worked out. It was like $140 or something for the whole time.
Saves
So
on Ubers
it's
too,
like it's like almost the same as once you have all those Ubers and stuff. So yeah, so we had a car there. We were able to go right over with our car from the offsite hotel to Blizzard Beach.
Okay, and you had no problem because I didn't know how the Blizzard Beach tickets would work. So I showed up at Blizzard Beach. No one had their Magic Bands yet because they were all kind of packed away. And I'm like, oh shoot, I don't know how to get in here. So I went to the ticket desk and said, do you have your Disney experience? And they had the barcodes with all the things. And And I know I was on the Disney World Reddit earlier yesterday, and somebody asked like questions about the water parks, and I think a lot of people are going for the first time.
Oh yeah.
And they're like, how do we get in? Can I just bring towels and my magic bands and leave everything else in the room? I'm like, you don't even need towels because they supply them there. Just bring your magic band as long as it's connected to Disney Experience. There is an actual ticket in your app with a barcode and everything. So when you have that, you don't have to go and get a voucher. You don't have to go check it. As long as you checked in your thing, and if you're whatever the status of your room is, it doesn't really make a difference. It's right there on your magic band. You should be good to go.
Yep. Yeah, I had noticed that when I was looking at my Disney Experience. I was looking at, because you can look at all your magic bands and your cards and stuff like that, and it had like tickets. It had like water park access. I forget what it was called, but it was like, you have this credential on your thing. So we had our magic bands with us, so we just were that. But it was still a little like nerve wracking. Like, is this going to work really?
Yeah.
But yeah,
scanned
in and got in no problem and stuff like that. Yeah. So right now both water parks are open. I decided Blizzard Beach. I thought it'd be better for my daughter. She's not the strongest swimmer, so we probably wouldn't really use the wave pool as much like that. It just seemed a little bit more kind of her speed type thing. So we checked in there, and then we got there at about it opened at 10 o'clock. We got there about 10:45. Came in, and I would say there's this big like kind of sandy area that a lot of the loungers and stuff like that are. So we kind of like were trying to find a spot. We couldn't find a lounger. They were all occupied and stuff like that. So we found some other like regular chairs. We're like, we'll just take these chairs and kind of put our towels and stuff like that. Anyway. Yeah, exactly. We weren't really going to be hanging out. So we figured that worked. And we took off for the lazy river, because I know you talked about how you guys did that and stuff like that. So we did that first. Went pretty much all the way around, I think, like that. And one thing I want to put, they had a whole table set up for cool kids summer stuff going on. So they were doing like temporary tattoos and like all things like that and chalk art. And then around the park, there was a scavenger hunt. So they gave you this stuff and you had to find like these snowflakes with like questions on them. And then if you answered all the questions, you got a prize. We did like 2 of them, and then we got tired of doing that. We didn't want to do it. But I was like, oh, that's like, even at the water parks, they have like some extra things set up for the summer, which I thought was neat.
The one thing I felt like it's just kind of bizarre at the water park, and every water park's like this. It just doesn't make any sense. Like, they have all these chairs that no one uses.
Yeah.
Just to put a place to put like a bag and like your towels on. Like, there's got to be a better solution, because no one's lounging at the water park like in the sun and relaxing. Everybody's on rides. They're all doing stuff, or they're sitting there getting their stuff together before they go do more rides and stuff.
Yeah, so, almost just need cubbies or something
like just like I don't know. I don't know what it is, but like there's got to be a better solution. I mean, I guess that's a fine.
I guess
solution.
It works.
It's just weird as you're trying to go around, because all these things move around. It gets in the way, and it's just like, I don't want anybody stealing my stuff. Obviously, they have lockers, but it's just like everybody just leaves their stuff just sitting there. And it's
I was a little antsy about that, because it was just the 2 of us. It wasn't like a big family where you could take turns who's going to stay with the stuff or whatever. So we did get a locker. So I put like my backpack with like wallet and phone and stuff like that.
We did
there.
too.
And then just on the chairs, we just put, our shoes down and, hat and sunglasses and towels and stuff like that. And then so we did the lazy river for a while. Then we started doing a bunch of the slides. I think we didn't do the big giant one. She wasn't like really feeling comfortable and wanting to do that. But we did pretty much all the other slides. We did the family raft slide a couple times. We did, all the mat slides and tube slides. I think we got 7 slides in during the day.
Great.
And then for food, the only thing I knew like the water parks were known for are the mini donuts. So I knew I wanted to try those. It's at like one of the Joffrey stands. So we got like a slushy thing to drink and the mini donuts covered in sugar and stuff like that. And they're made fresh there and stuff like that. And I guess my hot take is that these donuts are way better than churros. So,
well, I mean, like I once we finally got home, I'm like, we didn't try the donuts, because that was like stuck in my head to do that. But like, we were so like rushed. We did like the lazy river twice, got out and like went to go get some food. And then it started thunderstorming. Like we know we wanted to get like a foot long hot dog when we got there, because that's what my daughter loves, hot dogs. So we're gonna do that, and then it's just like, oh, we got to go back now. So glad you like the donuts. Now now there's a reason for me to go back.
So all that was all we really did. We were there until about 3:45, just about 4. So we were there for about a little over 5 hours, which was
a long time.
Honestly a little bit more than I thought we'd do. And we weren't like, other than our stop for the donuts and stuff, we were just walking around. We did, like I said, we did all the slides. My daughter spent a little time in like the kid like kind of activity area where you can like climb across things and stuff like that.
Right.
They have like a zip line and stuff like that. But
that's where we finally found chairs. Was like
from
that place. It was like kind of hidden down there. I'm like, there's this you could get lost in this place very easily.
Yes, yeah. There's a lot of trails that go down. They have chairs in other areas and stuff too. But overall, I didn't know how my daughter was going to be like. We were away in Cape Cod for the summer, and she didn't want to go to the water park and stuff like that. But I was like, well, it's free. Let's just check it out. If we don't like it, we can just leave. But she was like, I'm so glad we did this. This was so much fun
great.
and stuff like that. So yeah, so she really had a good time and stuff like that. So it was fun. So yeah, so we left around 4, and at that point we still our room still wasn't ready. But I was like, well, let's just drive over there because it should be ready soon, and we got to start getting ready for dinner and stuff like that. And like on the way, they like called me to say like, well, the room we had like kind of signed to you still isn't ready, but there's another room that we could move you to that's ready. Are you okay with that one? I'm like, okay, yeah, sure. Like,
Sure.
okay.
Was it like a different category? Or
I
just a different room?
think it was the same category, but it was like you could put like preference, like request an area, and I think it just wasn't in the area I requested.
Okay.
But like it's my first time at the resort, so I didn't really care that much or whatever. And I think it worked out fine. The room we got was fine. But it was just
I have
like,
questions
okay.
about Old Key West for you once we get to the review.
We could do that. We could do that at the end. Yeah. So I got to the room, got all checked in and stuff like that. And we showered up and stuff like that. Got ready for dinner. That night we were going over to the boardwalk area to eat at the cake bake shop.
Okay.
So, do you want me to review that now or do all the dining?
Yeah, let's do it as you go. Look, because I see the list. It's not like super long. My trip.
So we did the cake bake shop. This is one I've been hearing good things about on Discord for people that have gone there. They're like, no, give it a try. The food's really good. I know it's expensive, but it's not like really that bad when you figure it out. And I was like, well, I don't know if I want to take my whole family there, but of the people in my family, the style with all like the glittery things and sparkles and stuff like that, my 11-year-old daughter is the one that would be most into it. So I was like, well, this is probably the time for us to like try this out when I'm only paying for 2 of us. It's like our special thing. Like, let's just go do that. On the way, I stopped at the Dolphin to meet Julie to get my popcorn bucket. And then we drove over to the park at the boardwalk, and we had to walk from the car to there. And at that point, it just started pouring as we're like walking to the restaurant. So it was unfortunate timing. So kind of got off to a little bit of a rough start that we're all wet.
Hey, you spent the day at the water park.
I know.
Used to it, right?
I know we should have been used to being wet. But we didn't want to be wet at this point.
No, of course not.
And they got a little annoyed because when I don't know if you've seen this or whatever, when you get to the cake bake shop, they have the check-in stands like outside, and then they have these pink ropes like you're trying to get into a club, and they have to check you in and stuff like that. And until they'll like approve you, then they'll open up the ropes and you can get in.
Oh boy.
And we're all standing outside in line waiting to check in. Like, can we do this inside? It's pouring. Like, why are you making us do this like process?
Ridiculous.
So that was a little like.
Now, did your daughter get all dressed up and like, with in a dress or get all kind of fancy, or was she in just like Florida vacation?
She got dressed in a dress. I mean, it was not a ball gown or anything like that.
Sure.
But she did get a dress and did her hair a little bit. When we were packing, she picked out what shirt she wanted me to wear and stuff like that. So we were making it like a nicer.
You're making an effort beyond just going to dinner.
Exactly.
Which is nice. Okay. Yeah. Which makes the rain worse.
Yeah, exactly. She's like got her hair's like all like she looks like a drowned rat or whatever. But whatever. So we go to they check us in. They bring us to the table. There's a lot of like little rooms, and then there's the main room that has kind of the carousel thing, and that's where most of the pictures you probably see. We were actually sat in one of the front rooms, which at first I was kind of like, well, this is kind of a bummer. It's not like the main room where all the action is. I think it actually worked out well though, because it was quieter. When we walked through to like go to the restroom or whatever, it was really loud in that central area. So I think it actually, for having kind of a nicer dinner, it actually worked out being in the front room.
That's one of the things that, as we as a family talk about our previous trip and just kind of recollect and kind of whatever, we always talk about the volume of the dining room we sat in for all the meals that we had. Yeah. And that's one of the things, like, that's why we love Ohana more than Boma, just because it's more, even though they're roughly the same size, Ohana with the shorter ceilings and everything else is just not as like loud and cacophony of sounds.
Gotcha.
And stuff like that. Yeah.
Yeah. So the best part of the meal was our server. His name was Justin. So if you ever go and you can have Justin, please. It's great. Like, he was like super friendly, like really cared about everybody, was talking to people. Like the next table over, they were there celebrating their 1-year anniversary. And he was like, oh, I just had 3 years. And like, where'd you get married? Blah, blah, blah. And they started showing him pictures of the wedding and stuff. like he was like really friendly and stuff like that. And
that's great.
When he saw we were wet, he went and got more like of the cloth napkins, and he like draped one over Emma's shoulders and stuff like that. So it was like, he was really making an effort. It was nice. So obviously, I mean, to go through the food, like obviously they're known for their cakes and the desserts and stuff like that, but they also have a lot of just French Parisian type food, and they have like all the butters brought in from France and stuff like that. So it's sort of like elevated. Like it had a lot of elevated ingredients and things. I was going through the menu with my daughter saying you could get from the kids menu or you could get from whatever else. There were some things with like French words. She's like, I don't know what any of this is. I'm like, let me like read everything, blah, blah, blah. This is this. Okay, this is it, blah, blah. Then I get to the lesson, and this is, and steak frites, which is, steak with fries. She's like, I'll have the steak and fries. I'm like, of course you'll have the most expensive thing on the menu.
Of course.
Yeah. So she went for that.
It's a Christmas present.
It's her Christmas. That's why I said, all right, you can do that. And then I was going between a few things. There was one appetizer that looked really good for me, which is the burrata with pesto and tomatoes and stuff like that. So if you've ever had burrata, kind of the mozzarella with the gooey center and stuff like that. And then I also know they were known for their French onion soup. So I was like, well, it's cold out, like I'm rainy. And so like, let's get the soup and the burrata. So that's what I did for my meal. I was like, also this will be a little cheaper than me getting another entree as well. So they brought the soup out, which was quite good. Not the best French onion soup I've ever had, but it came with like a bag, like a half a baguette and like the French butter. That butter was probably like the best thing we had. So that
usually is. It usually is.
So that definitely elevated it. And then they brought out the steak and fries for my daughter, and I had the burrata. The burrata was excellent. So if you ever go there, I would definitely. That's the one thing from the meal that I'm like, that was a thing I'd go for type thing. Just all the different flavors and how it came together was good. Emma like plowed through the steak. Like it was like an adult sized steak. I mean, it was cut up into pieces, but she just like plowed through pretty much all of it. She didn't like the fries though. And I tried them. They were like really over salted and too much pepper. And like, I don't know what it was with them. So I don't know if we just got a bad batch or that's how they do them. We didn't really like the fries. I got a cocktail that was like their version of an old fashioned, but like everything on the menu, everything's like more complicated there, where they say like the simple syrup is made from some syrup they have like from France that then they cook down for 6 hours, blah, blah. I'm like, okay, but if you didn't do that, it probably would taste just as good and not be $20. But
yeah,
okay.
It would have been 18.
Yeah, exactly. So or whatever. Emma got like, I think it was called the Pink Princess, which was basically a Shirley Temple with glitter in it. But okay, nice. So she enjoyed that.
Edible glitter.
Yeah. So we had our meals and overall we enjoyed it. We decided they were like, do you want dessert and stuff like that? It was like, or do you want to go look at the bakery? And normally there's a line to get in the bakery, but if you eat there, they like send you in like the back entrance to the bakery. So you can kind of cut the line to the bakery. So we're like, well, Emma said, she's like, let's go look at the bakery and stuff like that. So we did that. We did ultimately each select a cake slice to have that we brought with us back to the room. We had some then, and then we had some for like breakfast the next 2 days.
You got 2 slices of the $100 cake?
Yeah. Well, yeah. So I got the millionaire cake and she got the raspberry champagne cake. Each slice was $22.
Yeah. So like if each cake was like, has like 5 to 7 slices, it's definitely a $100 cake, right?
Yeah. So so we had $44 a cake that we split across 3 times. So overall, my review of the Cake Bake Shop, it is very high quality. It is not for me. It's just not. It's not the style that I like or whatever.
Like the ambiance or the food?
The ambiance more than anything.
Okay, yeah.
There's so much, like even my daughter, who's like, I mean, this is her thing in the bakery. She's like, there's glitter on everything. Like it was like too much for her. And there's like unicorns and balloons and like flowers all over. Like I don't know. It's just not really my vibe. The food was quite good, but it was, everything was kind of like, this is good, but I don't know if it's really worth what they're charging. Like just by making things look too special or have special ingredients.
What, like with a beverage and a average entree cost, what would be your cost for just you on an entree and adult beverage?
So I'm trying to think.
And a dessert. And I don't know, like I'm thinking like dining plan.
Well, let me tell you what we spent. So I had my soup, an appetizer. Emma had her steak. So we had like soup, appetizer, 1 entree. We had 1 drink and 1 non-alcoholic drink and 2 slices of cake. And before tax and tip, it was $172.
That's high. Actually, no. Like, I'm thinking getting like a steak, because there was one day that my daughter had the fillet, which was like $60. A dessert, which would have been like 15, and like a non-alcoholic cocktail
Yeah.
which was like $13-14.
Yeah.
I mean, that puts you about 90, which is about half the cost of that, basically.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's on par with like Chefs de France or Topolino's dinner or something else like that. Maybe not Topolino's dinner, but like any other single credit.
Yeah. I mean,
Okay.
it's definitely up there. Like, obviously, I think if you ordered smartly, which I tried to do by not doing 2 entrees, I just had the appetizer and stuff like that. I mean, I talked to my wife after. She's like, that this place doesn't appeal to me either. I think like if she wanted to go there, I would be willing to go or something. I'm not saying it was.
You're not rushing back.
I'm just not rushing back.
Yeah.
I think there's just many other places I'd rather go there. But I get why people like it. I think the food was of high quality. If you want to go for kind of that fancy upscale take, I get it. It's not for me. But I'm glad we did it. We enjoyed our meal. The cakes were, I would say they were good. They were definitely not worth $22 a slice,
Right.
or whatever. But I'm glad we did it. But not rushing back.
Could you get a slice of cake? Like, does this place accept a dining plan?
I don't think so.
Okay, well, I was gonna say, like, can you get a slice of cake?
Definitely. I
as
mean,
a part of your dessert?
definitely not for the
No.
dessert or for the
No.
for the snack credits or whatever.
Yeah, no, for sure not. No, absolutely not. Okay, so that's good. I mean, like, I have no interest in going here other than I want to go to the boardwalk. We were just as a family, we were watching the boardwalk walk around review from the
Okay.
Mammoth Club that they put out just like a week ago or something. Because my wife wants to go to a Crescent Lake resort at some point, and I do too. So boardwalk is on there. I don't know if my wife would like. My wife loves like kind of girly, like high tea,
Yeah.
kind of that type of thing. But she's more of like Grand Floridian vibe
Okay.
tea than like, glitter pinata like environment tea. So I don't know, but she might actually like.
She
this.
might
I'd
like.
have to
I mean,
see.
if I'm also not like in the Grand Floridian vibe, so I don't know if she likes that. She might be okay with this. I think.
Yeah, we'll see.
So after that, we went back to the room to kind of rest up and.
What
and
times was you
I'm trying to-
basically? What time was your reservation?
So our
and how
reservation
long
was
did
for.
it take?
I'm trying to remember. Our reservation was for 7, and it was about an hour. It wasn't a super
Okay.
long dinner. So I actually noticed they brought the food relatively quick once we ordered. So
Okay, and did you? How'd you get there? Did you drive?
we drove, yeah.
Okay.
Because we figured it was easier to drive over, and we could
Now,
park
let me ask
since
you
we had a
this.
reservation.
Can you does driving burst the Disney bubble? Because we had this conversation when
Yeah.
we were there. Like, do we drive to BOMA because it's just easier, or do we do like Skyline or Hollywood Studios and then a bus to the resort,
Yeah.
which we did for both Ohana and BOMA? Does it
I-
burst the bubble for you?
It didn't. It definitely didn't for this, but we didn't drive to the park, so maybe we'd feel differently if we drove to the park. But just driving from one resort to another, knowing and you're still like totally on property, you're seeing all the
Mhm.
buses go by. It didn't. It maybe if we left property, it would, but staying on property and stuff like that, it didn't burst the bubble for us.
See, I would agree with you if I was just like like you're only on property for 2 days. But
Yeah.
if it's like day 4 or 5, and then I have to get into a car and I have to drive and like
Yeah,
get the kids in and out and like
I definitely
that
wouldn't
might
want. Yeah,
that might
definitely
burst
wouldn't
my
want to do
bubble.
it every day for a vacation, but because we knew it made the most sense this day,
Fair
we
enough.
did it. Yeah.
Okay, so you got back, you just basically relaxed for the rest of the evening, getting ready for your Magic Kingdom day.
Exactly. Yep. So then the next day, I woke up at about 6:15, just because I get up around then anytime. And I actually, when we got back, I should mention I did go over to sort of the main area of the resort, just to kind of check it out. And I knew I wanted to try. They're known for this one drink they have at the bar. They're called the Turtle Crawl. I was like, Emma didn't want to come. She was just watching, I think, K-pop Demon Hunters or something.
My daughter too. Yep.
So I went over just to kind of check it out, and I knew I wanted to get milk to have in the morning for coffee and stuff like that. So, excuse me. So I did that, and I also bought a mug, so that I could have my coffee in a real mug. And
There
in the
you
mornings
go.
and stuff
Perfect.
Like that. So yeah. So I got up at 6:15, made coffee, and had my coffee and stuff like that, and had some of the cake from the night before. And I'm trying to get ready and blah blah blah, and like because I talked to Emma before, we're like, yeah, we'll go back, we'll rest up. This way we can get to the park early. And she's like, yeah, that sounds good, and we'll take a midday break. And she was just not waking up. She was just sleeping, and it got to be like, I'm like, all right, park's open at 9, early entries at 8:30. I'm like, I thought if we left at like 7:30, and it's getting close to 7, I'm like, Emma, you gonna wake up? You're gonna, what's going on?
Did she even wake up, or she just get like grumpy at you and turn over?
She just got grumpy at me and turned over. Yeah.
See, you're a better father than I would, because at that point I'm like, I'm down here for one day. I'm literally yanking you by your ankles and pulling you out of bed, and let's go. We're at Disney World. All right, you can sleep when we get home. Type of thing.
So she eventually got up at around 8:45 or so.
Oh boy.
But I will give her credit. Once she was up, she was like, I'm up, I'm getting ready, blah, blah, blah. And we were like out the door at like 9:13. And we saw the bus coming, so we kind of ran to the bus stop. We were on the bus at 9:17, and we're in Magic Kingdom at 9:47.
Okay, that's not too bad.
So I was getting worried it was going to be even later than that, but all my thoughts of like, well, try to get there at least during early entry. Maybe we could do this, blah, blah, blah. Like, obviously that went right out the window. So going through the day, I did purchase.
Well, let me ask you one question again. Sorry, I interrupted because it just popped in my head. Are you still the type of person that you are getting anxious for not having your quote unquote plan pushed back? Or are you just like, hey, we're on vacation, we're doing this one adventure, it's my daughter's thing, and you're okay with it? You're not getting any of those kind of like nervous tics that
I would say my natural reaction was to have the nervous tics, and I was trying to mentally push myself to the other one, saying, it is what it is. We're still down here. We're still going to have a great day. And also I know my daughter that if she's cranky, she's going to be cranky for the whole day, and it's going to be awful. So I'm like,
fair enough.
What? It's not worth pushing it. So, so we got over there. So we did buy Lightning Lane multi-pass in advance, and I let her pick which ones she wanted. So we had Space Mountain, which was our number one priority, and we had Haunted Mansion and Barnstormer. And they were basically...
Barnstormer, really?
Yeah. So that was her second pick. That was like she likes roller coasters and stuff like that. So that's what she picked. So I was like, all right. I guess of the tier 2, that was kind of the one that jumped out at her. So we were kind of lined up like 9:15, 10:15, 11:15, something like that. So by the time we got there, we were running towards the end of our window for Space Mountain. So we basically headed, we took photos as we got in, because you have to take a photo of the castle and stuff like that and that sort of thing. But we made our way over to Tomorrowland and tapped in for Space Mountain. She did say of the other tier ones, her next one was Peter Pan. So I booked that one. I was able to get Peter Pan.
Oh, what time?
It was for 2:45.
Well, that's pretty good earlier in the day.
Yeah, not too bad. So we did Space Mountain, had a great time, enjoyed it. One thing, and it was on Space Mountain, but it happened on a number of rides that we just happened to be with. I don't know if we just happened to be people, or there were a whole lot of first-time visitors down there that like didn't seem to know what to expect on any of these attractions.
Really? Well,
so it was just fun. Like, in Space Mountain and like other ones, it was just like, they're like, I don't know what's like. We were in, I'll get to it later, where we were in the Haunted Mansion. They were like, what's going on? Like, they just like, so that was pretty fun.
Maybe it's that like $89 ticket that's getting people that are finally doing their first trips, and then they splurge for a Magic Kingdom day. That's kind of cool. I like that.
So we enjoyed Space Mountain. Then we went up to Barnstormer, which honestly, having those two back to back worked out well, because there's that back path by Tron that goes like right to Barnstormer. So then we were able to tap into there, and I was able to book Jungle Cruise with my next one.
Good heavy hitters. Good.
Yeah. So doing okay. And we enjoyed that. Then we were going to come back to Tomorrowland to do People Mover. That was the next thing she wanted to do, but it was down. So then she's like, well, I'm getting a little hungry about it. So we went, I listed off a couple things we could do, and she's like, I want the ice cream. So we went to Anti-Gravity's, and they had, I have to say they set up that area with Cool Kids Summer stuff too around Elio, where they had like like tons of like photo ops and stuff like that. But I
didn't see any of this when I was there. I mean, I didn't go over there, but
but they had cast members there that had like postcards, and you could fill out a postcard, and they had some machine they would put in the postcard, and it would send it to space. And I don't know, it was doing all sorts of things. So
okay.
I was like, all right, but there were kids doing it. So I was like, all right,
cool.
But yeah, so I got a churro and like the Elio float, which was like blue Fanta with ice cream and all sorts of stuff. But I got they have coffee there, like cold brew, and you can get it with ice cream, and they had salted caramel ice cream in the cold brew. So it's like in a hot August day, that
perfect.
That definitely hit the spot.
What time is it now? It's like 11ish or so?
Yes, it's right around 11ish.
Okay.
And then so I'm trying to I didn't write, I'm not going to necessarily remember all the times of every single thing, but after that we eventually People who were still down, so we did Carousel of Progress. That was another one. There were people in front of us were like, clearly had no idea what Carousel of Progress was.
Okay, that's interesting.
But they seemed to enjoy it. They were like singing the song by the end of it and stuff like that. Excellent. So it was like
new converts.
Yeah,
excellent.
Exactly.
Perfect.
But then People Mover was open, although it had like a 20-minute wait at that point. So that was one of the longer waits we had. So we stood in line for the People Mover. And then we went up to Haunted Mansion to use our next Lightning Lane for that. Which was we had a little bit of an issue here where we were using our Lightning Lanes, and I tapped in, and then Emma tapped in after me, but I guess mine hadn't finished cycling, so her tap didn't count. So
Huh.
then when I was like, we were in line and I'm like trying to book the next one, it thinks she hadn't used her
That
one.
happened to me a couple times.
So I was like, all right, well, let me book my one, which I think we did for Small World or something. And then afterwards, like, well, now, because we talked to a cast member in line and they were like, well, just tap again after you get off the ride.
I ended up just canceling it on the app once she was in.
Oh, maybe I could figure out how to do that. I guess that's
Because like you go into her Lightning Lane experience,
yeah,
or the Lightning Lane experience, and then you can view guests.
Yeah.
and only her name will be listed. Because we did a couple ones with my mother, where like she didn't want to go in Rock and Roller or anything else
okay.
like that. So like we didn't use her thing for it.
I guess
so
I should have thought about. I should have played around with that, but we're in line for Haunted Mansion and
sure,
think
of
about it.
course.
So we went to guest experience and they were able to kind of modify the times to be closer together or whatever. Then we had a few minutes before that nightly name, so we did PhilharMagic, which was great. Another, I don't know, that's just a good attraction. Like, I mean, it's like
have not been able to get on it in so many years, like since like 2021, and it's just so frustrating that it's just. I always want to do it, but like, okay, we'll do it later. And it just never happens.
Yeah, to me, it's like the perfect like filler attraction because you don't. There's never a wait. We just had to wait for. It was crowded though. It was. They were like everybody needs to move down and fill in every seat. Like every seat in that theater was filled.
Oh, good.
So then we did our Small World Lightning Lane, which that when we used it, it had a 40-minute wait.
Wow.
For Small World, and it was. I mean, that was kind of the high we saw that day, but it was like 30 minutes a lot of the day.
What was the temperature like when you were there?
So it was. I forget exactly. It was around 94 with a real feel of 99. It didn't hit 100, so it was like,
lucky you.
It was like hot, but it was kind of like this is Florida in August hot, not heat advisory hot. Like
not like the 20 degrees hotter it was for me.
Exactly.
Well, that's good.
But we did Small World. We wanted to make sure we did that because I wanted to hear the new verse that's now out in the last room, which was nice to hear the new verse and try to make out all the words and stuff like that. Fun story on this one.
I totally forgot about that when I was on there, and I didn't think to hear for it. Darn. Okay, never mind.
Yeah, it's not like, I mean, you have to kind of know that it's different to probably listen to the words. Otherwise, you think it's just the same thing again. But if you listen for it, you can hear that it's got different words. This was one where the family in front of us definitely didn't listen to the rules of make sure your kids are seated. They were moving around, standing up, going all over.
Oh, boy.
Eventually, one of the girls, I mean, they were like 4, 5, 6, like that age. I finally said something because the girl's got her hand in the water. And I'm just like, ooh. I don't want that boat to hit the rail, like, and her hand
smash it.
And I'm like, excuse me, little girl, you should really not have your hand. And the dad was like, oh yeah, remember. I was like, I mean, he wasn't like mad at me. He was like, okay, whatever. Yeah. But I was just like, oh, you got to watch your kids a little bit.
Yeah, please.
So after that, we knew we had a little bit of a gap before our next lightning lanes, and we wanted to get out of the heat for a little bit. So we decided to take our break. It was right around 1:00 when we left.
Okay.
I think it was or 1:30, or actually it was closer to 2. It was like 1:30, 1:45 by the time we were walking out. I asked them, I was like, would you want to go back to the resort and like rest and that sort of thing? Or do you want to just like kind of find somewhere to get food around on the monorail or something? She's like, let's just go on the monorail. She's like, I know we started a little late. Let's just like kind of do that as our break.
Okay.
It's like, okay, well, follow your lead, whatever you want. We could just ride around a couple times or whatever you want to do. This was one frustrating part I had today was I was trying to figure out like, where do you want to eat? And she was like, I don't know. It's like, well, does this sound good? Like, I don't know. Does this, I'm like,
she's growing into a lovely young lady. And that's, she has to practice saying, I don't know where she wants to eat.
So, I mean, we were in Magic. I'm going through every single menu. And I even looked like, well, what has dining availability now? And we could have gotten pretty much spot on, like within the next half hour, either Be Our Guest or Cinderella's Royal Table. Yeah. I even like mentioned, I was like, do you want to do those? And she's like, no, those menus don't look that good. I don't really want that. I'm like,
you were asking if you were going to get her Cinderella's Royal Table. Look at you.
And she said no.
Best Christmas present ever.
So anyway,
meet and greet type of person though?
She's not huge into the meet and greets and stuff. And I think she's a little past the princesses too. Yeah. I mean, I think a couple of years ago, she probably would have been all over it. And we've done it a couple times. We don't do it every trip, but she's been there 2 or 3 times, I think. But we're going around the monorail, which we're having fun. It's kind of, it's nice just to be in the air conditioning going around the monorail. But I'm still trying to figure out where to go. One thing I found, obviously there's quick service type things you can go to, but a lot of the restaurants, the lunch ended at 2 and dinner didn't start until 5. So there weren't a lot so right now it was like, $150 or something like that. There weren't really a lot of options. So I said, well, if we want to go to like kind of a sit down place or whatever, we could either go over to Geyser Point, where we'd have to take the boat over or something like that to get over to Wilderness Lodge, or we could go to Wailulu Bar, where we went last time. She didn't want to do the boat thing and that sort of thing, so we went. I'm like, what? Well, let's just go to Wailulu. We knew we liked it last time, that sort of thing. So we got off at the Polynesian and went over to Wailulu Bar and Grill, where we checked in on the app, like the walk up list, and got in like 5 minutes. It was super quick.
Well, let me ask you this before you get into the review of the place for your second visit. Seems to me that you're doing what I wanted to do and just kind of float around and just find places to eat on the fly. So how did you like that? Like, because I know you like to have everything ironed out. We're going to take this mode of transportation from point A to point B, and it's in my spreadsheet, and this is what we can do around it. Now you're just like, yeah, this looks good. Let's go here. Like, how did that make you feel? Like, I need to know this.
So overall, I mean, I was fine with the flexibility because I knew there were places to eat, like, especially when I was looking up and there's availability like everywhere. Sure. I'm like, and like even the quick service, there were people, but nothing had crazy lines or anything like that. I was just getting frustrated that I was getting no direction from her.
Well, okay.
And then she was like, well, I want pasta. I was like, okay, well, where has pasta? I was like, oh, what about Tony's Town Square? I've never eaten there. That could be fun. She's like show her the menu. She's like, nah, I don't want that. I don't want pasta. Okay.
Bold choice for pasta on a 90-degree August day in Florida. But okay.
So maybe that's why it's sunk in. She's like, maybe I don't want pasta. So I think if I had a little bit more direction and people were more like into like, okay, well, we could go here. What are you like more excited about it?
Sure.
I'd probably be a little more into it. This felt a little settling for it.
But I mean, like you were able to do, this is vacation stuff.
Yeah.
It's spontaneous, having fun. You're not like panicked about hours and time and being places.
Yep.
I mean, that's how I kind of felt when we were down there.
Yeah, no, it worked out. It worked out fine in the end. And so we went down to the Polynesian and we walked over and blah, blah. And so we had our table there, had another nice server, had a really nice meal. She picked out the poke bowl, the tuna poke bowl. She was pretty quick to pick that out. So I think that boosted her spirits a little bit more for being down. We're like, I don't know. I was like, oh, that sounds good. I'm going to get that. I got their burger, which is great. Last time I went, I wasn't crazy about the drink I had. This time I tried their daiquiri, which is basically just pog juice with rum in it. And
that's good.
That definitely hit the spot. That definitely worked out. So I think that might be the drink of choice for going forward there. I forget what she had. She had like one of their specialty drinks too, and she enjoyed that. And then we split the creme brulee for dessert and stuff like that. And it was just a really nice time to kind of chill for like an hour, you know, and where our table was inside. So we're in the air conditioning, but it was right at the window. You could still see Cinderella's castle and stuff like that. So it was a nice break. We then went over to Trader Sam's Tangaroo Terrace to get I was like, you know, they have the fancy drinks there. Do you want to hang out there for a little bit more before we go? And she's like, yeah, let's do that. So she got one of the drinks there. I got one of the zombies. They did have the guy playing on the ukulele and stuff like that. So it's always nice being out there. We had a really fun server who was like kind of messing with us a little bit too. She brought over my drink and it must have had 2 like full stalks of mint in it.
Okay.
And she's like, I picked that myself. You have to eat every last bit of it. I'm like, oh. And then when we were going to leave, she's like, you didn't eat any of it. I want you to eat at least one bite of it. I was like, okay, I'll like pick a bite of it. So she was like, kind of like, I don't know. She was really friendly and just like kind of messing with us, which was fun.
That's cool.
And then we got back on the monorail and headed back in, and it was time for our next round of lightning lanes. So we headed to the next one was Jungle Cruise.
So you were out of the park and back in like 2.5 hours or so?
It was just about 2.5 hours.
Okay.
Yeah. So it was like not necessarily maybe like the 3 or 4 hours. I was thinking of like really getting back to the resort and stuff, but it was a good like 2.5 hour break from the park. And I think we avoided like the hottest part of the day.
Yeah. I mean, like my rule for Magic Kingdom now, assuming that we're going for a prolonged stay where it's not like this is our only Magic Kingdom day, I want to leave the park at 11:30, and I do the earliest I get back is like 4:30. So like you're kind of hitting my like zone of like break time type of thing.
Yeah. So the next one was the Jungle Cruise, which we had the Lightning Lane for, which is great. We had a really good skipper, and it was like we were able to hear them. It wasn't crystal clear, but we could hear all the jokes and stuff like that. It was definitely a fun one where we were into it. The family across from us was into it. A couple of the other families were like, "What is going on?
What is this that we're stepped on?" Okay, I mean, like it was fun. Wait, when I went down, it was like our second Jungle Cruise trip. We were there with my wife and my mother. The previous time was just me and the kids, and great skipper. And we were going, the backside of water, and I started chanting O2H, and I'm like, and she's like, At least this family's the only one that gets it here, like chastising everybody else. So I love when there's a mixture of like people that just know what to say and a mixture of people that are just befuddled of like, what am I witnessing right now? So
Yeah.
I love that context.
We had one where we were playing along, and he asked
contrast.
us like which side of a tiger has the most stripes, and he was waiting, like he was literally waiting for a response, and I was like, the outside. And he's like, this guy gets it. He gets the dad jokes. He's got the dad shorts on and everything. He's ready to go. Like,
that's awesome.
so he had a couple jokes I hadn't heard before and stuff. So it was fun. We had a good time on that. Then it was time for our Peter Pan lightning lane. And then we had a little bit of time after that. It was funny. We rode that. We enjoyed it. But Emma was just like, that was a good ride, but why would people wait an hour?
Yes, I was just going to ask you that. Like, what was her response to Peter Pan? Because the only time that we go on it, it's just been like my wife and I, because that's one of her favorite rides, and I just make fun of her. My kids are like, okay, this is like fun because it's Peter Pan, but like whatever. But their favorite part is when the cast member sprinkles the pixie dust on the lap bar and as it comes down. That's what my daughter's like, we're gonna get this pixie dust, we're gonna get the pixie dust, and like that's it. But like the rest of the ride is just like ho hum or something else like that.
Yeah. So it was funny. She mentioned that a few times. She's like, why are people waiting so long for these things? I'm like, well, not everyone has lightning lanes. Sorry. Then we had a little bit of time before our next lightning lane. So we actually went and I was like, you know what? We haven't done this in a while. Would you want to go do Enchanted Tales with Belle? And she's like, okay. Yeah, let's go do that. So we did. And she was a little old for it. They kept asking her, like, do you want to park? Do you want to go meet Belle? And blah, blah, blah. And she was like, no, I'm good. Like, but I forgot what a cool experience that is.
It's an amazing experience.
Like with the change in the door and you go through and stuff like that. And like, that's one of those like really only at Disney type things.
Yeah.
So I think that was really cool. And you could just see some of the little kids that are so into it.
That's my biggest regret from my trip is that we didn't do that. We wanted to. It's just the heat and everything else just didn't like get us in there. But like I'm thinking to myself, I don't know what next time I'm going to get to Disney World. I don't know if we're going to do like a quick trip next year or we're going to wait until 2027 when there's a lot of new stuff in there. Like I don't know how we're going to do it. But by the time we get down, like my youngest is 7. Like that's kind of like the end of the age where it's like they're maybe too old to participate, but definitely not like whatever. But once you're like 10, 11, 12, it's kind of like, yeah, this is a little kid thing, Dad, you know, whatever. So, but it's great to witness.
She still enjoyed it. She's glad we did it. She was like, they really wanted me to go meet Belle. Like everyone kept asking me. I'm like, I don't know. They just wanted to make sure. Yeah.
I'm pretty sure you can't just go in there with like your wife and just like experience it, because then it's kind of creepy. You're just watching other kids, families, other families' kids, just
especially if you're filming the whole thing.
Yeah. Well, no.
But so that was fun. Then we had our Pirates of the Caribbean lightning lane, which was that's always obviously it's your favorite ride, so you know that. But that was really good. And then we decided to ride Tiana's Bayou Adventure Standby. I did fiddle faddle a little bit, but that's one thing I want to get across to this. All these lightning lanes, I just did like after you check in, just pick the next one. I really spent very little time on my phone throughout the day and was able to, I think, be pretty successful. We didn't get Tiana's and we didn't do the individual lightning lanes, but otherwise I thought we were fairly successful. So.
I mean, that's what I saw. I mean, like all the non-super popular, like the only popular ones that you got that are typically difficult to get relatively midday when you're still doing it in the morning is Peter Pan and Jungle Cruise. Right. But even when I was there, I was able to get them I saw, even after we've done Peter Pan, I still saw it at like 2 o'clock, 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock as I'm going through looking at like fiddle faddling. So I was surprised by that. But my surprise was like some of the marquee attractions, you could not find anything, yet when you walked up to the ride, the lightning lane was empty almost every single time I went there. So I don't know if it's just no one's buying it or not a lot of people buying it, they're limiting, or it's just that their ratio of lightning lane is single.
I think they have adjusted that a little bit, because
I know they have, but it's like working then.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly. Hey, we did. So we decided to do it. It was posted as a 55-minute wait. The first few minutes it wasn't moving that much, and I was like, a little worried. But once it got going, then it was a pretty constant move. You know, it took us 47 minutes, so it's a decent wait. That was by far the longest wait we had, but it was moving pretty good. They did announce while we were waiting that there was weather coming in the area, and they're like, and it was like, they're like, we're going to stay open for now, but just wanted to give you a heads up that, if it gets, we might have to close. They also said it is an outdoor attraction. So if it rains and we're still running, you and your things might get wet. And then Emma's like, isn't this like a water ride? Like, aren't you going to get wet anyway? I was like, well, I guess they mean like you could get a lot more wet if it's really raining or something. But we enjoyed Tiana's Bayou Adventure. I posted this, I think, on Discord, and I sent a note to Len. We got a survey about our day in Magic Kingdom, but part of it was about Tiana's, and it was asking like, when you rode, like, do you know if the ride went down while you were waiting? Were you able to successfully ride it? Did you know if any effects were not working properly on the ride and stuff like that? So they were like really getting into like the specifics of our experience on Tiana's.
That's interesting.
So I did fill in the survey, and I did write down a number of things that I noticed weren't working. A couple of the Lewis animatronics look a little rough. You can see like where his neck is. That. You can see like the underpart, and like one of the screens with Mama Odie wasn't on and stuff like that. So I don't know. I guess it's good they're asking about it because they're aware. I don't know if it's one of those things where they're like, okay, well, we know 10 things aren't working. But everyone's commenting on these 5, so let's fix those 5.
They're prioritizing or something,
something like that.
Well, one of the things, like Mama Odie wasn't working in the exit portion after you get through the celebration scene. And then the effect that I only saw working when it first came on was like when you descend like into like the laughing place.
Yeah, the shrinking.
Used to have the light.
That wasn't working for us either.
That hasn't worked. That didn't work. The last 3 times I went, which was our trip or our family trip, our trip, and my daughter's trip, but it was working in 2023. When my wife and I went last November.
Okay,
it was working.
Yeah.
So I was kind of disappointed because I everything else is great, but for some reason that effect I thought was really cool, and it kind of stuck with me when I saw it for whatever reason. I was disappointed it wasn't working.
So after that, we had one of the things. There weren't too many other things that we wanted to get Lightning Lane for. I had tried to get Under the Sea with Ariel. It had gone down, so it changed it to an anytime. But then it let me book for like later for that. So I was like, well, I'll just book that again. And then that one changed to an anytime anyway. So I was like, well, now we have 2 anytimes. So we decided to do the Haunted Mansion again. It basically said we could do any tier 2 ones.
Right.
So we did the Haunted Mansion again. So we got on that twice, which was good.
Hint to everybody else that's listening: if weather is spotty, just get any outdoor attraction on a Lightning Lane, and you could pack up like 5 anytime Lightning Lanes if it like goes on and off, on and off, on and off. I did that with Pirates one year, and I had like 2 years ago, like 4 anytimes that we never used it because we didn't really want to go on like Haunted Mansion again and again type of thing. But you can use that if you want to.
And then we wound up booking. We then did Under the Sea. It did come back up, so we did that. I think at the end we still wound up with 1 anytime use one that we didn't use. But so overall, we used the Lightning Lane for 9 Lightning Lanes, and 5 standby rides. We did.
Well,
so
that's a full day.
Yeah. So it was Lightning Lane was $32 a day, so it was about $3.50 per ride, which I think is not
awesome.
Throughout the day, I was texting with Zach because he was working for part of the day. And then after his shift was over, he was just hanging out in the park, and he's like, oh, well, I'm going to be on Main Street if you want to come say hi. Cause waiting for Starlight. And I was like, oh yeah, well, we're planning on heading to Main Street too. So we'll say hi. And he's like, well, I could just hold a spot for you. I'm like, okay, if you want to do it. Yeah, that sounds good. So we found him and one of his coworkers were kind of hanging out, just right on the curb. So we had front row seats for Starlight. Since he had the spot, I was like, let me go get snacks because we hadn't eaten anything. We hadn't eaten dinner yet. So we just picked up some stuff from the bakery. We got the Mickey cinnamon roll and stuff like that. So we're sitting on the curb. We got there maybe 45 minutes before Starlight started.
Oh, you got there sooner than you wanted to do.
Yeah. So I was like, well, I didn't want Zach to be there by himself like forever. That was kind of what I was thinking, like 30 to 40 minutes. I was going to do that. When I knew he had the spot, I was like, well, let's just go over and hang out with Zach and stuff like that. So that was good to catch up with him and stuff like that. And we were just hanging out, and then Starlight was going to start. We heard some thunder and lightning in the area. We were afraid it was like, and Zach's like, I don't even know what this does when it's like raining. Did they have like a rainy time version of this or whatever? But the weather held off. They were delayed by about 15 minutes, I think. But it did go off, and I guess now we could talk about our review of Starlight if you want.
Yeah, let's go off with your first impressions, because I gave mine before.
Yeah. So my first impressions was there's definitely like excitement around a nighttime parade in the Magic Kingdom. Like everyone's just, and we were on Main Street, so you could kind of see it starting to come around the square, and you could see it. And it's just like you could tell people were excited and anticipatory, and you wanted to see what the floats were going to look like and stuff like that. And you hear the music and stuff like that. Overall, I loved it. I thought the floats were really cool.
They're gorgeous.
Yeah, that's a great word for them. And I love the like, I don't know if it's the wish moment or the magic moment or something, but it's the character goes through some sort of spiel, and then like something happens and like all the lights change on the float. A lot of them go to like whites and stuff like that.
Yeah.
It just looked really cool. I remember ironically, the wish float, when that happened, it like looked really cool. So I thought those were really cool moments in the parade.
What did you think about the music overall? Because it's kind of like a beating like electronic dance music kind of vibe, right? But it's more of like a modern beat rather than something from like the 80s or in the 90s.
Yeah.
I was jamming to it. I appreciate it. It wasn't repetitive where it's just like the same thing over and over and over again that kind of gets stuck in your head in a bad way. But I love the music. All the floats were great. And I don't really have a favorite because they were all like so unique and different. There are two things surprised me. Or one thing that surprised me was they had a wish float. I knew that they were going to have one, but like seeing it, and I'm like, it's interesting that they're dedicating a whole float to a character that did not do so well and was not very popular in the cultural zeitgeist, I guess. But I guess the one point I want to ask you, Phil, is one of the major complaints about this parade is that in between floats, it's rather empty. There's not a lot of like actors, and like Tinkerbell just runs around all by herself. What do you think about that?
I agree with that sentiment. That's kind of the one critique I had. Not even critique, just like the parade's amazing. It could be better with. And it was like the dancers I thought were really cool. Just need more of them. And I do think we could use some more characters that walk around too, because it was noticeable when Tinkerbell was there. She was going around engaging with the crowd and stuff like that. I was like, I think we need a little more of that. So I don't think it would take a lot, another 8 to 10 dancers and like maybe 8 to 10 characters or something like that. And then I think you have like a home run of a parade.
I think I'm of two minds of this, right? Like, yes, I always want more entertainment and whatever, but I kind of like, again, I'm a massive fan of Magic Kingdom at night, right? I like having it dark with points of light. And, one of the things about the Very Merry Christmas Parade is that like, it's just, everything's lit up like day, right?
Yeah.
There's just stuff constantly going, and it's a lot, right?
Yeah.
Still a great parade, but it's just a lot. What I kind of liked about this parade because I was paying attention to like, there's only like 9 people kind of twirling around, and their costumes are really good too.
Yeah.
Like the characters that are there, they're really great. But I'm like, I kind of like how the focus is just on the float, and that's it. And it's just like, because it's a show. Every float is not just like people just waving at you, right? There's like things going on.
Yeah.
Like you said, there's like that Make-A-Wish moment where they do a thing and then it goes back. And I'm like, I kind of like in my mind, and again, maybe this is just my mind, messing with me or whatever, but it's kind of nice not being distracted by a bunch of other stuff. It's like the float is the main thing. So I don't necessarily think it needs other entertainment, though I would gladly love to see more characters running around and some other stuff.
And I agree with what you're saying though about like the kind of the points of light and stuff, because I have also heard the critique of like the dancers should be more lit up and stuff. I actually liked how they were, where it was kind of like the dancing stars on their outfits and stuff like that. So like I said, I thought what they were was fine. I just would be okay with more of them.
I just don't want a lot of more light.
Yeah.
Like, so if they do it more subtle, more actors and characters, that would be fantastic. But I don't want to take away from those floats, because those floats are absolutely phenomenal. I thought
I agree.
Really nice.
I agree. As to the music, I liked it because I think it's a blend of kind of the more orchestral with the techno type thing, electronica music. So I really like the music. I don't know if like the theme is going to stay with me the same way as like the Happily Ever After theme does or something like that. It's kind of like I enjoyed it while it's going on. I'm not sure if I need to like download it and listen to it in the car type thing.
Maybe you have to watch it a couple.
Maybe if I watch it a few more,
But like, all right. So, what did you think about the contrast? And I know you're going to maybe talk about what you did after the parade, but like the contrast of the parade quickly followed by the fireworks, then the parade again, like another hour after that. So
so it's interesting.
That whole thing.
So we were on Main Street. So cast members were coming by like a few times saying like, okay, here's what you have to do. If you want to be on the curb, you have to stay there, blah, blah, blah. And like, once the parade's done, you have to wait until after the people carrying the rope go by before you can get up and follow the parade. And make sure we knew that. But we did that once they came by. We followed the end of the parade up towards the hub. And then we found a spot kind of right where the end of a walkway was going to be, where there's tape on the ground.
Right.
And we kind of just said, like, let's just stay here and we'll see how it is. And if we can just watch Happily Ever After from there. And so that's what we did. And we had a great view. They kept that walkway clear. So we didn't really, we weren't smushed in, but we were close enough that we could see all the projections and stuff like that. Got some great photos, but I tried to keep my phone away for most of it and just enjoy it. I love the 1-2 punch of the parade into the fireworks. At least for us, it worked out really well. It wasn't like we were going with the flow of crowds and stuff like that. And overall it worked out well. And it was kind of one of the really nice moments from the trip, because at one point my daughter just grabbed my arm and like pulled it around her like while we're watching the fireworks and stuff like that. So that was nice.
My daughter was busy videotaping the whole thing on her new phone, so I tried taking her phone away and put my arm around her. She's like, "Dad, I got to get this shot. I need to record." I'm like, "Okay, fine."
One thing that was funny was there was this family in front of us that was kind of that they were like right at the road. We were right behind them, and they all had phones and like video cameras, and like the grandparents came and they each had phone, like all 6 or 7 of them were all like videotaping it.
You can share those files, guys.
Yeah, but then they left like 2/3 of the way through. I'm like, what was the point of videotaping 2/3 of it? Like,
and you missed the best.
I know.
Finish. Come on.
I don't know.
So did you observe a lot of people bolting out of the park after the parade?
That was the one issue we had. Was I thought where that walkway was, we could then go down that walkway, because my thought was we could go down into Tomorrowland and try to ride Tron before the end of the night.
Okay.
They roped those off though. They were only using them for exits for people coming the other way. So
okay.
we had to go a bit against the flow of traffic into the hub to try to get to Tomorrowland. A lot of people were going the other way.
Okay.
After the fireworks, after the parade,
I'm talking about parade. Yeah,
the first parade.
People. Yeah.
I didn't notice that. I noticed more people hanging around, and a lot of people were moving up to get into firework view. That's
okay. Because there's different
maybe people that were down more by Town Square. They were
that's where we watched the parade.
Yeah, maybe that was for the people that wanted the early exit. But at least on Main Street, it seemed like people were moving up for fireworks.
I just remember people bolting. I'm like, everybody's leaving. This is great. And then we go to Main Street. That was a pretty good view. When we were there and we wanted to do Tron, we got online during Happily Ever After for Tron. And it was still like a super duper wait. Basically, everybody else was thinking like, I could skip fireworks to get on Tron.
Well, that's what happened. Everybody did what we did, went after fireworks and stuff like that. And we got there, and it was a posted 105-minute wait.
Woo!
We waited for like 10 minutes. I was like, well, maybe they're like overstating it at the end of the night. Mm-mm. And we still weren't even into like the main queue. And Emma was just like, I don't want to wait. I'm like, okay, it's your call. Like, do you want to wait? Do you want not? She's like, I'd rather go. So we bailed after about 10, 15 minutes of waiting.
So I gave my kids the option of waiting another hour and a half at Magic Kingdom. They're like, no, we're staying. I'm like, okay. Love you guys. Remember this. It was a long wait.
And then I was like, well, do you want to like go? We could watch the parade again. She's like, no, I'm ready to go. And so we went out the back, behind Main Street, the pass through. And I think we exited the park like right at 11.
So that's good. Yeah. Like, I don't have the need to see the parade twice. Yeah. I don't think that's necessary. Now, the question is, Phil, the next time you go down and you want to have a similar experience, do you do the parade first and then the fireworks, or the fireworks and then the parade?
I don't know. That's a good question. And it worked out really well for getting a good spot for the fireworks too. So maybe I'd try to repeat what we did. But if we wanted to devote less time to it and we're okay with like not being in the hub or, whatever for the fireworks, maybe we would just do fireworks and then the parade after, because obviously you don't have to wait at all for the viewing point for the parade after the 11 p.m. parade.
And like I'm assuming everybody's okay with staying up and it's being late. That type
exactly.
Of thing.
So,
right? Like, so I'm just from a strategic, like, can you get more stuff done during? Because I think you could probably get on some of the more attractions, assuming you weren't there the whole day, like you did. Like, but you could probably get lesser lines. Because I was noticing the wait times when I was there were a lot lower during the parade leading into the fireworks than at the middle of the fireworks leading into the rest of the evening type of thing.
No, I think that's fair, because we probably could have done, Mine Train or Tron or something like that. While instead of waiting, because we were there 8. So between 8:15 and 10, I'm sure we could have gotten on one big ride or something like that.
Yep. And for me personally, I kind of like the idea of like you had a long day or a long afternoon and you at like 8:30, you just sit down.
Yeah.
And you can just relax. The parade comes to you. And I've been watching a couple videos here and there, just randomly. I'm curious. Are people still sitting down on the curb waiting for the parade to go by? And people are, which gets
Yep.
me like super stoked. I love that. More people get to see. There's less pushing. There's more respect. It's more communal, and it's kind of special for the kids so they're not like having to look over people and stuff
Yep.
like that. So I think that's really
it
great.
worked out really well.
But yeah, I'm a big fan. The one thing you did a good thing, like good job of getting like a snack to sit down. Like we didn't have anything to eat other than there was like a popcorn stand over there, which was okay with my daughter.
Yeah.
My youngest one, but like there's no place to get anything to drink unless you want like soda or water.
Yeah.
So like the best plan, in my opinion, is get whatever food and beverages and whatever in before you get to Main Street at like 8:30. So get your mobile order at like 8.
Yep.
Get at 8:30 or an hour before start date. So obviously that's going to probably change as
Yeah.
the winter months come in. But like, I think what you did get into the bakery.
Yeah,
and
I went through a
the
few of the
confectionery.
options. She liked Starbucks. When she heard it was a Starbucks, she wanted the pink drink and stuff like that. I was like, all right, that's her go. But one thing I was thinking, because we were coming from Little Mermaid, I was like, oh, we could have like stopped at Gaston's Tavern or something like that and gotten, some of the food there and the cinnamon
Right.
roll and stuff like. I mean, it worked out fine, but like, I agree. Like, figure out what you want to eat before you get into the area. So
Yeah.
So we were back at the hotel. Like I think the bus came at like 11:13, and we're back in bed by like 11:40 ish,
Mhm.
something like that. So not too bad. The next day we had nothing to really get up for, so we slept in and that sort of thing. Emma is a good sleeper. Finally, at around 9:00, I was like, I think we need to start getting going. Checkouts at 10. Like,
Get up.
yeah. So eventually got her up. We got packed and we got out and that sort of thing, and it was fine. What we had that morning was we were planning to have Topolino's breakfast with the characters. We had an 11:15 reservation, but we had to check out at 10, so we had a little bit of time. So we're kind of just hanging in the Topolino's lobby, and I think I got a coffee because I wanted to get better coffee, and she got something to drink too, and we're kind of just chilling and hanging out and exploring the resort a little bit.
Coffee at the Riviera.
Yeah.
One of the families that we knew that did like the 3-ticket deal.
Yeah.
The wife, because they were staying at, I don't think it was it might have been Art of Animation. But she went to Riviera every single morning on the Skyliner just to get coffee. She loved it so much.
It was a really nice coffee place there. I mean, that's definitely a perk of that hotel.
Mm-hmm.
Nice cold brew and stuff like that. So then we went up a little early up to the hotel, up to the restaurant at Topolino's. I know you guys ate dinner there last time, but we were doing the brunch. We got seated at a 2-top. And honestly, I mean, the summary of this is it was great. I would absolutely do this again.
Yep.
The characters were fun. They played with us like the right amount of time, like, because we're kind of, we wanted to enjoy the characters, but we're not like super character people. So
Right.
they didn't belabor the point, but they, made sure we got the attention we needed. They do a little dance at points and stuff like that too. The food was really good. And honestly, like thinking about for value, so you get the basket of pastries. I had my coffee and water included, and the plate I picked was steak and eggs. It was really good piece of steak. It came with polenta and potatoes and vegetables and the eggs and like,
Yeah,
I
I
don't
saw
know.
the pictures.
it was really good. And I'm like, and the characters, and it was $52. $52 seems like a lot, but that plate alone of food was probably 30 something, right? And then
Well,
it's like,
I was at like $25 ish for the
Right.
character interaction.
right. So you're take away even $20, you're at what, $32 or whatever for it.
Mhm.
And that food was worth it for that. And then you have the view from being in that place. It's just a nice place
It's a
and stuff.
gorgeous
Yeah.
space.
So this one I would definitely do again. I was telling the rest of the family, I was like, I think this is one we need to do as a family.
I mean, I
didn't love the fact that my 11-year-old is a Disney adult, so she got a couple of Mickey waffles that were also $52. But
It is what it
it
is.
is, yeah,
But like the only thing like I've been thinking about, like, if we ever do like a deluxe vacation, even if it's just my wife and I, where would you want to stay? Right. My wife, we were talking about some of the Crescent Lakes resorts. And like, I always think about the Riviera because I thought it was beautiful. I got like a little sneak peek into like one of their pools, not the pool with like the water slide
Yeah.
on it, but just like the front pool, like it's almost right in front of
Yeah.
the entrance of the
Mhm.
lobby. And that screamed like some kind of like James Bond, like
Yeah.
kind of movie where it's just like you have like the main lady of the movie, like, out with her bathing suit, sunbathing in like some French Riviera type of thing. Like I got the vibe of that space.
Yeah.
From the brief view that I saw. So people think that there's no theming in there. It's rather bland. They're out of their mind.
It's
pretty resort.
so well themed, and it's not themed to like a very specific place. It's like, European vacation.
It's a
kind of
massive
theming or whatever.
vibe theme,
Yeah.
right, of that. Like, I totally pick up on that when
Yeah.
I walk, because this is my first time I've ever been in the Riviera when I went last time. Obviously, passed by it a
Yeah.
bunch, but I've never entered the property before. And to me, I would never want to stay there with my kids because I think it would get lost in them, even though it
Yeah.
would be probably gorgeous, right? But like the idea of having Topolino's that bar up there,
Yeah.
like if I was staying there for like 3 or 4 days, or like a long weekend, right? 3 or 4 nights, I guess. I would want to go to the top of that bar and just sit there and have a couple drinks every single night.
Yeah.
Like I don't even need to go out on the terrace or whatever, but like I love the space. The bar is beautiful. And the bar's not even cramped. It's a big bar. There's a
Yeah.
lot of space around it. There's views all around you. So it's not like there's just like one wall somewhere else. To me, it's a great space. I'd love to explore it more without 5 other family or 6 other family
Yeah.
members like trailing and stuff
Agreed.
like that. So yeah.
So this was an absolute hit. Emma enjoyed it really too, as well. It's not just my view. So that worked out really well. Then I said, well, what do you want to do? We still have a few hours to kill before we have to head to the airport. Do you want to do like Disney Springs or just go somewhere else? She didn't want to do Disney Springs. So I was like, well, we're here. We're right by the Skyliner. Do you want to just go riding on the Skyliner for a while? And she liked that idea. So what we did was we did the Skyliner down to Caribbean Beach. Then we got off there. Then we went down to Art of Animation. We
Mhm.
got off and kind of just explored Art of Animation for a little while.
Have you ever been on Art of Animation?
So we never stayed there, but when my kids were little, we went and explored it. And like we walked around. I think I have a photo somewhere of my son at every single one of the cars or whatever
Okay.
that around. But I think either Emma wasn't born yet or she was like an infant. So she didn't remember it.
Okay.
So she was like, oh, this is cool. Like the pool's here and like that. And she kind of liked how like the lobby and stuff like that. So she had a fun time checking it out.
So do you know? I'll let you know where we stayed. So we come off the Skyline, you make the right, you head towards the resort. Like you go in, and then there's it's basically a 4-way intersection. Going straight goes you to the big blue pool.
Yep.
And then you could go to the left along the water, right?
Yep.
In whatever. So as you go past the Nemo building,
Yeah.
you see the back end of the first Cars building.
Okay.
Right. If you're thinking about that, right, and there's a doorway and an outdoor stairs to go up.
Yeah.
When you look at the doorway going in, the window to the right of that, we stayed in that corner room right there.
Oh, okay. Oh, so that is
So that-
close. Yeah.
That's
real
how close we were to the
Yeah.
Skyliner. It was
Yeah.
absolutely fantastic.
Yeah.
Highly recommend that room. I think
So-
it was 3252 was the room, I think. It was a good one. Anyway.
Okay. So then we
touring
got
plans.
back on the Skyliner, and then we took the branch down to Hollywood Studios, and we went over to the boat that's there. And she had a really good time while we were waiting for the boat. There were all these turtles in the water, and then
Oh,
there were
really?
fish coming by, and then ducks came by. It was like kind of a mini animal kingdom, like as we were
That's
like
cool.
waiting for us. So and everyone's got like a kick out of all the turtles and stuff like that. So it was fun while we were waiting there. Then we took the friendship boats and we took it all the way to all the different stops, and then got off at the Epcot stop that's by the International Gateway, which was a little hard to be there. I'm like, I'm this close to Epcot and I can't go in.
So close I could
so
smell it.
Exactly. You literally could smell, I think, the pastries from France.
Yep.
And then we got on the Skyliner and took that back to Riviera. Hung out there actually we went outside.
Oh, that's where your car was, right?
That's
Yeah,
because our
Riviera.
car was at Riviera. We did some of the long games. We were playing like cornhole and stuff like that they had out for a little bit. And then we decided to kind of figure out what we wanted to do next. We wound up heading towards the airport to have some dinner before we got to the airport. She wanted sushi. So we stopped at a sushi place, and then we got to the airport, returned the car, and headed home, and everything super smooth. Funny story on the way back, though. So Avelo apparently doesn't open up their like check-in counter, and we had our check bag until closer to your flight. So we were there a little bit early, and we were online because they had a thing saying, oh, it's going to open at this time. But then some lady gets in by and she's like, I was here last week and they only opened 2 hours before the flight. And when we said, what about security? They said, I don't know, not our problem. And I was like expecting this horror story of like everything. They wound up opening 3 hours before the flight. Everybody was super friendly. It was like
Okay.
totally worked out fine. It was just like this.
But you
woman
never want to
who-
be panicked.
I
by that
know.
stuff
I was just
before
like, oh my
flight,
God,
right?
this is like giving me like, and then we had tons of time. So we had like, they got snack and a drink and while we were waiting, and flight home was perfect and it was fine and stuff like that.
Nice.
So
Very cool.
so that was the end of the trip. It was really good. I guess the only thing I didn't cover was Old Key West. First time staying there. My big takeaway is it's a really lovely resort. It doesn't have a lot of Disney theming. The main thing is kind of the railings and the fences have Mickey heads.
Yeah.
That's kind of it. it feels very much like a timeshare condo
Mhm.
community. And having stayed in many off property, it has a very similar feel to those. It just has some slight
Yeah.
Disney touches. So it kind of felt like you were staying at a Disney themed timeshare near Walt Disney World more than like really in the bubble like you are when you're at like Caribbean
Yeah.
Beach or something like that.
Well, I mean, I agree completely because again, this is the first resort I stayed at as an adult, becoming a Disney adult. Right,
Yeah.
this was my introduction to Disney, and all I remember is like you got the front desk area that you check in, and that's all it is. Then you go outside. The cafe I think is like across the way, and there's like other shops and stuff. And the only bar I can remember is like an outdoor like little alcove where you could go grab a
Yeah,
drink. or
that's where I
something
got my
like that.
drink at the Gurgling Suitcase, which is a really nice bar, but it had like 6 stools at it. I'm like, this is a tiny bar for like a big place.
Yeah,
Like,
and the pool's not that very like.
no,
it's a
there's no.
pool.
Yeah, it had like the sandcastle slide and stuff, but like there's no zero entry. It just felt a little dated, like how things were built.
I mean, it's the oldest one, right?
And
Yeah.
it is, but like, and the rooms, like it had a pretty small TV. There wasn't a single USB outlet, the entire
No.
room.
The place
and,
is from
like,
the 80s.
Yeah,
I
and
mean,
it hasn't been updated. So it's funny having gone from there, and then we went to the Riviera, which is like
Oh, yeah.
the newest DVC, and it's like night and day. So it almost feels like the Riviera is like a true deluxe DVC, and Old Key West almost felt like a moderate DVC. Or something. Obviously, you still get the deluxe perks, so
Right.
it's fine. So I would definitely stay there again, especially if it was like a bigger family trip, and we're going to be
it's
there
a lot
for
of
a
room,
while.
big rooms.
The big rooms, and we're not doing a ton of park time, and it's more kind of hanging out because you did see a lot of people walking around. It seemed like the people that were there were liked being there, you know. So I get why people like it.
I don't get why people like it.
I get what people like it more for a relaxing stay.
I mean, I know the people that like it because it's a place they've gone to for quite
Yeah.
some time. So there's like tradition and nostalgia vibes, and like this is their home. And
Yeah.
not discounting any of that, but like for somebody like you that's never been there, or for me that been there once and then experienced all the other Disney resorts.
Yeah.
Like I don't understand the appeal of wanting to go back unless it's a price point or you really need the extra space
Yeah.
that some of those rooms actually provide.
So it's like I said, I think it's a really lovely resort. It's probably for the way we do Disney, it's probably not the ideal resort.
Yeah.
But if that's the way you like it, I can kind
Yeah.
of get it.
I don't want to stay in a place that has internal bus loop. Like I don't
Yeah.
need to be doing that.
So that was our trip overall. And I guess you mentioned like taking one-on-one trips. It's just so nice. Like Emma and I, we obviously get along and stuff like that, but we don't do a lot together one-on-one.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really nice to have that time and just talk with her and get her take on things. And I don't know. So it's just whenever you're there with the family, there's always like some arguing when people want to do different things and stuff like that. You don't have any of that when it's
Or
just
people
one
get
kid.
washed out,
Yeah.
or whatever. And it's the same thing for when I brought my daughter down. We get plenty of one-on-one time, like taking her to sports or
Yeah.
whatever. But like in the context of a family, at any point, like all the kids have to struggle to get attention from,
Yeah.
my wife and I. Always, right? It's always a competition to like who's going to tuck who in and all this other stuff. And obviously my daughter's older, but like she gets relegated to like, hey, you're old enough, you could put yourself to bed. And,
Exactly,
like,
yeah.
that type of thing. So when I was down there, it was like she had all the attention in the world. She didn't have to compete or with her annoying brother or sister, like pestering her about whatever. Because my son's a good kid, but he's also very good at annoying his sisters.
Oh,
when
yeah.
he's doing like, brother things, right? Like it is what it is. Like he's a very energetic kid. And no, you're definitely right. Like the one-on-one, when you have it in a setting like Disney and you are a Disney family, right?
Yeah.
I think this only works if you were a Disney family. Obviously it'd be a different vibe if you're bringing a one-on-one trip for like your first Disney World trip, right? Like that's a totally different vibe. But I think, both of us have brought our families down for so long to now experience some of that nostalgia points, but like it's more is intimate the right word when it's one of your
I
kids,
know.
but like that seems a little strange, but like it's more like personal, I guess, right?
Yeah.
And I totally get that what you were saying.
So it was really nice. And we had speaking of brothers, we kept joking because Peter loves the Speedway and stuff like that. And I was she was like, we're not doing the Speedway. I was like, well, Peter here, this would have been the 7th time we would have wanted to do the Speedway. So that she was like getting a kick out of that. So it was just really nice to have some nice time with her. So yeah, obviously it's not free, it costs money and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But if you can figure out how to do it, even if it's just for a weekend or something like that, like, I think our flights it was less than $200 for both of us combined Right?
Yeah.
If you're able to find some cheap flights and you could stay at an All Stars or whatever, or like just go to one park, like it's really like the return on that investment is really going to be high.
What was the Old Key West cost per night for the rental?
It came to like $280.
That's amazingly good.
Yeah.
That's really great. I mean, let me ask you this. You did a lot of bouncing around your Magic Kingdom day. Do you think you've never really done hoppers before, right? And I have. Did you like just doing Magic Kingdom one day just because that's what your daughter wanted, or would you have done hoppers with like with her again or another one of your other kids?
I think with her, I would have stuck to one park. Maybe my older daughter, or my son. It kind of depends on the parks. I think with Magic Kingdom, there's so much to do there. That was great for one day. Maybe if we're doing like bouncing between Epcot and Hollywood Studios or something like that, I could see it. But for her and with Magic Kingdom, I don't think it would have been too much travel. I think if we hopped around, it was good with the one park.
When my daughter and I did, like, if we had done what you did, where we got a hotel room like the night before, we could start our day like fresh type of thing, especially with your water park day and everything, right? She would definitely have done 4 parks in one day. Like my daughter, like I've created a monster because this was never in place like in 2023, our last family trip, but this year that we went, my daughter was getting like anxious as all anything. Like, we got to get to the next ride. We need to have enough time. We're not going to be, I'm like, we're going to be fine. We're going to be late. I know this. Scarlett, you got to learn legit. But she's like, go, 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 go. So she would want to do hoppers and just go all over the place. I'm like, can't we just do like one, maybe? Again, it was fun kind of going all over the place and she was getting a taste of it. But like, I think it's a judgment of how your kid wants to go.
I was going to say it depends on the kid, because Emma was, even when we were picking the rides, I was like, "What do you want to do this?" She's like, "Do you want to do this?" Like, not that she didn't like everything, but she's not that where it's like we got to get in every blah 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 blah. It's like she wanted to do she wanted to do Haunted Mansion and Space Mountain, and we did those. And I think if that's all we did, she would have been fine. Like that type of thing.
My oldest daughter is not a competitive person in sports or anything else. She's like, she does her best and she's happy with it and she's good. But something down at Disney World, she's like, we need to do every single ride, she's like, I'm like, if you could only apply the eagerness of your Disney World touring self to like school and sports and doing your chores and everything else, this would be wonderful. But it's Disney brings out the difference in everything. Anything else you want to? We did your trip report for like a park day, a restaurant day, and a water park day, and we're almost at 2 hours where I did a full like 9-night 10-day stay in the same amount of time. So I think that was an excellent trip report. Thank you for bringing us along on the journey. We'll now have to time your trip report for when you go down with your wife for Destination D23, which will be a different show because it'll be like a lot of news, and then also like, oh yeah, you stayed at the Helios. You went to Epic Universe. You did you went to Food and Wine. That might be like my 10-day trip was like one very long episode. Your Destination D23 trip is probably going to be like 3 parts because you got the Destination D23.
Yeah, we'll have to cover all the news,
Epic Universe part, and all this other stuff. So I'm looking forward to that. That's too, because you know what? There's not going to be much to talk about in earnest. So we're going to have a lot of content to go through, which is going to be exciting. So, anything else you want to throw into your trip report, Phil, before we wrap it up?
No, I think we covered it well. The only thing is, I just think the water park perk is a really great perk. We're going to try to take advantage of that in November as well. And if you can figure out a way to do it, like taking that late flight and staying somewhere cheap off property and kind of getting that full day, I'd really advise it. So I was worried. I didn't know how it was going to work out and stuff, but it's a really great perk. And the water park was pretty crowded. I know. I was talking to somebody else on Discord who went earlier in the summer or in the spring, and she said it was like everything was like a walk on, but we had like pretty sizable waits for all the slides.
Both parks we went to, like everything had either a 5 or 10 minute wait for the simple stuff or like a 30-minute wait for some of the more popular.
So people seem, I don't know if it's because of the perk or if people are getting taste of it and now we're doing it more or whatever, but they seem to be jumping.
I think summertime plus like the perk is definitely it. And, if we end up going again, my wife's talking about what if we go down during the spring next year? I'm like, that's only like 8 months from now. Like, what are you talking about? But anyway,
we've created a monster.
I don't know what it is. Like, my wife is not a Disney planner, but like we were out to dinner last night having a couple appetizers and drinks, and she's like, well, the next time we go, we definitely have to do spring, but I want to stay at deluxe. So how much would it cost for a 2-bedroom suite so we can bring both of your parents down and us? Because now she will never go back to a 5th sleeper at the Caribbean Beach Resort because like we need 2 bathrooms. We feel this is too small. And also I'm like, oh no, I need to get a raise. What's going on here? But no, it's but the water park wouldn't be a perk if we went in the spring next year.
Right.
And I'm like, the kids are going to want to do that. And I'm like, now I'm like angry that Disney's not offering
I know.
this. Like for
Well,
everything.
let's see how long the summer is, but yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely not going to be like February, March.
No,
timeframe.
definitely not that.
But it'll be May through like probably September-ish or something else like that. All right, I think we've rambled on enough.
That.
Yes, we've done that. Well, we'll talk about it as we get more information. That being said, everybody, thanks for watching, listening. Make sure you like and subscribe. If you haven't liked and subscribed our video and you're watching right now, scroll down and hit those buttons, please. But until next week, thank you very much, and we'll see you next time.
Take care, everyone.